When I first started purchasing and managing buildings, I felt like a janitor. I would constantly have thousands of keys that would just hang around my waist, trying to figure out what key would go to what door. And we would have to try to either carry all of them around or run back to the office and just get the right key so we can enter a building. However, throughout the years, I figured out a much more efficient way of being able to get keys and access into the buildings. So what that is a master key system. So for me, this one little key that I have will open up every single building and unit that we own or manage. And you say, well, Jarrett, that's pretty amazing. You're right, it is. And I can thank our locksmith to be able to help us out with this. So I'm gonna go through in today's session and understand and explain a little bit more about master key systems and the benefits of them. So first and foremost, what is a master key system? What a master key system allows us to do is to be able to obviously have a set of keys, one key that would open up multiple doors. Well, how is that safe for the tenants, you say? Well, the tenants don't actually get their own keys that are masters. They get a key specific to their unit and to their door. And you're gonna ask, well, Jarrett, will it work on the front and back? It can if you want it to be. Can it work on the unit door and the front door? Absolutely, you can mason them is what they call. So our landlords many times will say, well, Jarrett, will I be stuck with a different key for every single unit that I own or manage? I go, nope. What ends up happening is that we have multiple layers of mastering. So each landlord, as you buy more properties or just have one, will have a master key. And that key should open every single door that you have. And yes, we can even match it to padlocks or gates or anything type of keys that have any type of key with it. And we'll change out what they call a core. So let me explain that to you. So this is a little core, and we're gonna name each one depending upon the code. And the code is usually given, and we ask our locksmith to be able to provide this to us. They give a little 6-digit code to us. And that 6-digit code also ends with a letter. And that letter represents the key code that you have. For example, us, we use a lot of G's. And what we'll do is we'll get blanks. And blanks are what they are. You'll go to Home Depot or somewhere else and to be able to copy them. However, Home Depot usually won't copy what we have as keys, which are called best keys. So in order to avoid us having to go to the locksmith, spend time having to copy keys, we actually purchased our own key copying machine. And we're able to do it. And what we have is with these little blanks, as well as the key code, we can just type in the codes and stamp it, as they say. This is different from a normal key cutting machine, which I'll cover in a different session. And this allows us, the best part of it is to never have keys that get worn down or don't work well because of the fact that we're cutting based upon a code rather than actually copying another key, which is always a benefit. You've had those tenants or yourself that you're just jiggling, and you end up having to change the keys or just never be able to actually get into the property. So again, that's another benefit of the master key system. This core is, on the other hand, another benefit. So what will end up happening is that we have these cylinders. And these cylinders are much like your other locks that go into your door. And what we'll have is we'll have a control key. And this control key, what it allows us to do is actually turn it, and a little section allows us to go in, put the core into the actual cylinder, and what it allows you to do is change them out instantaneously, very quickly. Imagine most of the time what you'll end up doing is having to change this whole thing out, hope that it fits, make those adjustments, and actually have to change this entire cylinder, right? And again, you can get these from Home Depot for $10, $15, $20 when it comes to the ones that are all built in together, but then you're stuck with multiple keys for different doors. Instead, what you can have is a cylinder, and you can change out this core. And this is actually my favorite part of it because I own multiple units. So in order to save money for you and other people, as well as myself, I'm gonna save these cores. And these cores, as I stated, have codes. So all I have to do is mark exactly the name of the code on the actual lock itself. No one else will know what to do with it. And what will end up happening is that I'm gonna keep these in our records, and I'm gonna use this core for multiple locks. So each year I can actually change it from unit to unit, building to building, and I won't typically do it within buildings just because there is always a chance of someone else having a key. So I'll do one across the town, and they'll never know that. And after a while, we'll change them out and we'll have extras. As an overview, this is why we have master key systems that allows us to be able to have the control of having one key rather than thousands potentially. It allows you, the landlord, to be able to have one key again in your pocket instead of all these different keys for all your units. It allows us to actually save you money in the long term. So let's talk about costs really quickly. So with the other type of lock, you could do it yourself, or if you hire a locksmith, locksmiths are about $100 to $125 an hour. And those materials that they have, they won't usually typically use those Home Depot materials because they'd have to drive over and get them. Whereas the locksmith and the type of materials that we use are a little bit higher of a grade. They're gonna have it in stock. And what they'll do is that they're gonna actually make the cores that we actually will put into the locks. And they'll, again, create those codes. Now, those are one-time expenses. You know, this actual cylinder itself might be, say, $30, $40, and then each core might be $15, $20. And what will end up happening is that you're gonna have this one-time expense up front. It's usually about $200 per door, but what that'll allow you to do is save that labor, because again, with that control key, you can just turn and change that lock yourself. And even if you wanted to have those different locks and cylinders and do that, that's fine, but we facilitate that. It's really important for us to be able to have safety for our tenants. So upon turnover, you're gonna say, well, Jarrett, how do you change it? What'll end up actually happening is that we're gonna give the tenants that are coming in the old key and the new key. And again, remember, we can always copy a key in advance, so we're gonna know the code, give them both the old and the new key. And what'll end up happening is that when we switch over the actual new core, we're gonna tell them in advance, hey, make sure you keep both on you. That way, when the core gets changed, you're gonna have the new key to get into your house, and you can throw out that old key. So again, that's a real benefit for us, as well as for your vendors and for emergencies. You gotta think about it in the sense of an emergency. The vendors aren't gonna have the chance to come to the property, and you don't wanna have to kick down doors. What we really like to do is to either A, give our trusted vendors a copy of the key that they can use into all our buildings so they can go from unit to unit without worrying or wasting time, which saves you money as a landlord because they're charging for that travel time, and we want to minimize your expenses whenever we can. And the second other benefit of it is to be able to have one key in a lockbox. Imagine having to fit 20 keys into a lockbox. It just won't happen. So with us, we're able to put one key, have all our property managers have it, have you, the owner, have it, and have our vendors have it, which will save you time and money. You've reached the end of this video, and you are now one step closer to becoming the landlord that you want to be. With easy to follow guides and self-paced exercises crafted from decades of experience, you're sure to learn everything you need to know and nothing that you don't. Check out the description for more details.